Started? Okay.
Yes.
So, welcome everyone to episode 4 of the FD Investment Podcast. I'm Sarkis. I'm joined today again by my co-hosts, Peter and Michael. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
Hello.
So today, we're actually continuing some of the wines we had last time. We're continuing with the Stella Rosa
Peach.
Peach. No cheese today. Our cheese today was sushi. We went out to eat beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very full.
You're very, very full.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That sushi was a solid C.
I mean, the quality I thought was pretty good, but the service and
Yeah,
was
honestly,
the
that
big
was
question.
probably the worst service I've had been
It was
to that
pretty
location to that restaurant, because the other times we went and I had better service. I don't know why. but-
I'm shocked, yeah. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, everything was kind of good at first, but it slowly went downhill.
yeah, I don't know.
But, I mean, at least the food was okay. I didn't mind the food too much.
Quality was still decent, but it was just way worse.
Hey,
Service.
this wine is way better.
Oh yeah, this one's
Yeah. So this
It's
week's
fruit juice.
cheese not so good. This week's wine delicious.
Delicious. Absolutely.
absolutely. And it's chilled, which is really goddamn nice.
Yes.
So, now it is July 25th, just for 2019 for context. All right, guys, I think we should just kind of jump into it, right?
What a week it's been.
Yeah. I mean, just given our conversations we've had in our chat, I mean, it just goes to show how much has happened since our last podcast. A lot of different changes. Today alone, a lot has happened. A lot has happened.
So I actually want to discuss something. It's not really anything that happened. It's more something where like people came out and admitted something. This is about what I discussed previously. Is that do you recall AMD's price cuts just before Nvidia? Or just after Nvidia also did their price cuts, and then they launched their graphic card lineup, and it was like this like super competitive thing, right?
Yeah.
The CEO of AMD, along with a lot of other AMD execs, openly admitted to this being a marketing ploy and a trap for Nvidia, and that they fell right into their scheme. And I just thought it was really interesting because they
openly admitted this?
they openly admitted that this was a trap for Nvidia. And I thought that was amazing. I laughed when I first started seeing these articles popping up everywhere saying that the execs openly admitted to this kind of it's not even scheming or behavior, it's just like fair competition, but it's like a really clever kind of you think you're better than me, and then they step right up to the plate and say, yeah, I think I'm better than you, and they're like, well, you're not, and you know, sucker punch them right in the face. I don't know. There's just the chain of events and everything went supposedly exactly as planned, and I thought it was hilarious. I'm now waiting for AMD's Q2 revenue report to. I'm expecting great things here.
I hope so. I hope so, because I mean, obviously AMD went through the effort and the time and the money to really bring this into fruition, and it's good to see that competition is taking place between two companies, especially in what is a huge cornerstone sector in the market. Because I mean, you know, everyone has PCs, everyone's got computers, everyone's going to need these chips. So these suppliers are, you know, their market is going to keep growing and growing and growing. So I'm with you. I hope those quarterly reports come in positive. I hope they beat their EPS. I mean, EPS obviously isn't anything, but it's definitely a start when you're trying to prove that your company's successful. So, I mean, yeah, I hope if AMD openly said this was a trap, I hope their money is where their mouth is and their reports come out way better than Nvidia's. And if it does, I say kudos to them. They kicked Nvidia's ass, and well deserved.
Yeah, dude, I've really enjoyed like the battling news. It's just kind of the tech world. There's nothing ever really like stupid exciting. Like yeah, new tech comes out and you hear some cool stuff. You know, companies try new sorts of shit all the time. That's what the tech industry is. It's all R&D, you know.
Right.
But just seeing like companies battle it out and duke it out finally, and like literally just trash each other and over again, finally.
Yeah, I mean that's big stuff right there. I mean, especially in a super growing market, like competition. I'm surprised we're even seeing like this hardcore competition because there's only so much market share out there that's capturable.
Yeah.
And it's still growing. So like, I mean, these companies are going to continue to battle until something somehow replaces it, but I don't see that anytime in the foreseeable future. I mean, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, I agree.
It's gonna be interesting. The next couple of years in computer technology, this is gonna be an interesting battle.
We've seen a lot of like on the consumer side, a lot of improvements and a lot of different things that have struggled to come to computing from before. Like like the fact that storage on computers has become so significantly cheap compared to what it was in the past. That it's actually cheaper to buy, say for instance, 120 gigabyte flash storage solid state drive for your computer than it is to buy, say, like the cheapest mechanical hard drive on the market. And you know, all this tech that's becoming like cheaper and faster and more readily available, and kind of it's pretty interesting. And that's not just like talking about AMD. So this is actually a good segue into the next thing, which was Apple's acquisition of Intel.
Oh my god! Yeah, just today.
Apple's acquisition of Intel's modem
it's
chip
not
sector.
an acquisition. It's an incredibly high bid on a portion of the ownership. But what's speculated is that this $1 billion bid is going to soon turn into an acquisition.
No, it's not a bid. It's confirmed.
Well, no, that's why. So they're buying a portion of equity. They're not buying the entire thing.
Yeah. No.
But they're acquiring the modem section of Intel.
So
they're not buying Intel.
No, I get that.
Acquiring
Intel's
the entire
modem sector.
Yeah.
Okay. See, then I must have misread that. Interesting.
Let me pull this up right now. Apple acquires Intel modem. Yeah. Okay. Intel's 5G smartphone modem business for $1 billion.
So it was acquired. Oh, this was 6 hours ago. Okay, so this was way after the news that I was sending you guys. Yeah, because when I was first reading it, it was a bid. So I wasn't sure if it was going to go through, but wow, it went through
confirmed.
in one day.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick.
So they don't have to develop their own 5G stuff anymore, which, you know, in all fairness, they said that they've been developing 5G for quite some time now, but there's a lot of people also saying that they're late to the 5G game, especially in, you know, iPhone not having anything 5G out yet, even though it's their flagship phone. They don't plan on coming out with anything until late next year for 5G. The fact that they're just acquiring it now. Yeah, but what's Intel going to do? What are they going to sell to? Is that it for Intel with the modem business?
Yeah, that's... See, because I was under the... So per our conversation earlier today, I was under the impression that the bid was going on. Intel still had partial ownership on the department. It was going to be more of like a partial equity. But with a full-blown acquisition like this, I honestly... Intel has lost a lot. Now, bear in mind, they got a $1 billion cash infusion.
Yeah.
So, even though they lost... See, but that's the thing. You're trading cash infusion for cash flow.
I will say this, though.
That's rough.
Over the last year, Intel's quite largest sector... I think quite largest sector of their business is the CPU game. And they've struggled to fully develop their 10 nanometer and 14 nanometer chip production, which is why they fell behind so much and they had so many issues.
$1 billion
this
infusion could be for the R&D department.
Might be a solution for them to make up for the issues they've had over the last year to finally fix production and finally get back on track.
Well, it's one of those things, you know, you study in business the concept of differentiation, low cost, and achieving that cornerstone of efficiency, right? The problem with that is they have this cash infusion. Intel was still generating positive cash flow, which could have easily been reinvested to reforge, restructure, and get the gears moving again. But my problem is when you sacrifice positive cash flow to try to bolster what's already not working, it's a risk.
Yeah, it's
right.
a huge risk.
The modem market. I personally don't know too much about it, but one can only assume, stating what you showed me on Eric's motherboard.
Yeah.
Right. I can only assume that those chips were valuable, held research patents and licenses that could go a long way, and gave them a chance to diversify out of a market that they're not doing very well in.
Most typical PC motherboards that you see in the U.S. consumer market have some form of Wi-Fi already built in.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's typically some Intel modem chip. And on that motherboard, actually, it's the new 802.11ax standard, which is called Wi-Fi 6. And it's pretty damn fast, but like, if Apple's taking over this entire sector, it's no longer going to be Intel soon. It's going to be someone else.
And that's pretty scary because, I mean, Intel, like you said, is already having difficulties in the CPU market. Assuming that they somehow pull off a restructure and rebranding and remarketing of their chips after they can fix the fallback with the $1 billion infusion, they still lost a hefty chunk of what could be future tech and future market growth.
So get this.
That's a big loss.
They're losing on cash flow, but after hours, their company's valuation in the stock market increased by almost 6%.
Well, of course it did. It's because their liquidable assets literally like quadrupled.
Liquidated.
Yeah, like you got a shit ton out of it. And also bear in mind, Apple still pays a premium. So that $1 billion was to acquire plus more. So their stock price would go up, but I would also gamble if we look at long-term value, Intel might see a foreseeable decrease. I don't think it's going to be a depression or anything major, but it's going to be a very gradual dip over time. And the only reason I say that is because if they have to restructure their CPU market, there's going to be disruptions in the business process change. So if you have disruptions going on already in a sector that you're struggling in, that's just more fuel to a fire that's already burning under your butt. And the problem is that at some point, you're going to have to reach for a pail of water and put it out. And in this case, Intel's hoping that the restructuring, the fixes, will create that pail of water for them. And whereas if they kept the modem, the modem department and the whole industry chain there, they would at least have a positive cash flow to make up for some foreseeable losses while restructuring. The only difference would be is the lack of capital to restructure. But again, this just brings the question: what was Intel doing if the market was not doing well? Why were they not already in the process of restructuring? Well, why did it have to come to this? You know, this was a big buy.
This is a big buy.
Big buy.
So
yeah.
From Apple's side, they're looking to essentially create their own path into the 5G era of iPhones and mobile computing in general, and they're pretty much looking to reduce dependence on third-party vendors and partners by creating their own chips and components.
Vertical integration.
Yeah.
Yep.
They do the same thing with their A5 processors. They build everything. They do all their own PCBs and stuff. So, you know, they might as well continue and do everything else in-house.
Yeah,
know?
That's smart. It's cheaper.
And, I mean, $1 billion, though, they have the cash sitting around. They can do it. That's a pretty smart move on Apple's behalf. But as far as consumers go, that's going to hurt. You're not going to see the Intel modems in your computers and phones and stuff anymore. You're going to see someone else, and it's going to be more costly because whereas Intel would license everything to everybody, Apple doesn't license anything to anybody. So,
you know, but this also brings to question. You know, you mentioned Qualcomm when we were talking earlier about this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this could be a big opening for them in the market.
Oh, without a doubt.
And I think what's also kind of unfortunate is Apple's exclusivity is going to heavily damage that sector. Heavily damage. If they, and this is the thing, this is speculation, but this is if they continue their current business practice in the modem industry.
I don't see any reason why they would change their business practices. For them, this is a huge plus.
It is.
Disrupting the entire market for everyone else just creates chaos, and it's best for them.
It does, but remember, every industry and every market's different in correlation. So I think what would have to be done is Apple's really going to have to take a hard look at this, which I'm assuming they did if they acquired it. I mean, no one's going to just throw $1 billion to pick something up without really doing research.
What do you mean?
But in hopes that they did,
$1 billion right here. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what Apple did. They had $1 billion sitting on the desk, and they're like, you know what, we gotta do something with this. But I would assume that they did their research. I would assume that they understand that market is heavily created upon Qualcomm and Intel's growth of patenting the license out, creating partnerships, and helping other consumers obtain their products, rather than go the exclusive route. Because the exclusive route worked for Apple because, you know, the iPhone used to be super innovative, super classy, super cool, and they had differentiation on their side.
Yeah. While
achieving low-cost production, which is the ideal, the gold of business, is to achieve both. And then Apple, of course, the differentiation slowly went down and down and down to the point where now they're just low cost, but they're manufacturing very simple phones, to be very honest, comparatively to that of their competitors. Even Huawei produce more complicated, or in the terms of complicated, more functionality phones than Apple does.
I wouldn't call it simple because none of those phones are very simple, but there hasn't really been much innovation. Innovation has been kind of stagnant. Company like for instance the Notch. I'm I openly hate and despise the Notch with all my being because it's a giant ugly cutout in your screen that just takes away precious real estate and destroys the solid looks of a good-looking screen, and I just hate it. And instead of innovating, so everyone, for some reason, manufacturers are racing to have the largest screen-to-body ratio, and I have no idea why this was a thing, or still is, but they're trying to get bezel-less phones to make it uncomfortable to hold, and then they're trying to, and then companies like Apple go ahead and just use the corners of the phone to put in some extra screen, and you end up getting screwed on that little notch because it looks ugly and stupid because they're trying to house some sensors in there. You have other companies like Oppo came out with the world's first under-screen camera in their phone. And that's amazing.
News of this.
Yeah, it's a really clever technology where you can basically make an OLED screen where the OLED screen itself is clear, and you stick a camera under the clear OLED screen, and then whenever you want to take a photo, it just turns off that part of the screen. And that part of the screen is a little bit different from the rest of the screen because it has slightly different glass with different glare, and so it's not perfect, but it's innovation.
It's a path in the right direction.
It's something new. It's you know, you're not renovating, you're not changing or fixing, you're creating, and that's ultimately, you know, the kind of stuff. There were manufacturers that went back to the old school designs of flip phones where they started having cameras that would flip over, or like a sliding phones where you slide the back side up and a camera slides out from the back.
Right.
And that way they can get the all-screen phone, which everyone wants, without creating this stupid little notch, you know. They're trying to come up with these clever designs, and Apple was just like, don't bother. Just add a notch. And this has been, well, I mean, it's been over a year that this has been a trend, but like, it lacks innovation. Nothing has changed.
I mean, it's the idea of brand loyalty. I mean, you know, if you're I mean, you've met Apple people. I mean, when you tell them all the reasons why Apple might not be great, or, you know, oh yeah, I see the new phone, but, you know, I don't know, there's some other phones in the market that are cheaper but can do a little more or have better features, you know, they'll be like, well, it's Apple, like, I like using Apple, that's it. Or Bitmoji, like, they have that.
Well, it's also the ecosystem that Apple has built in a lot of their products.
Yeah.
So things like
I think we discussed this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah. The iMessages, for example, is a great ecosystem where you can access it through your computer, you can access it through your iPad or what have you. And you can also send larger file formats as well through that.
Yeah.
So unlike regular text messages, like I can't text you Android to Android like a large video file typically.
Right.
You can easily do that with Apple, with the iPhone.
That's true.
And true. once you get people accustomed and used to these ecosystem, it becomes a lot harder for them to switch. And then for them to kind of also go through the learning curve of Android, which Android is a little bit harder, admittedly, to get used to the interface and learn all the quirks than Apple. And then add on to that, there's a lot of people who aren't as technologically proficient, like for example, my parents.
Right.
A lot of people's parents, you know, older generation, aren't as accustomed. Apple is really good for those customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Apple is really good at retaining their customer base.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, that's kind of what most retail outlets and suppliers strive to do, is to get that really high brand loyalty or brand recognition. Just because, you know, word of mouth and carrying around the products, it means a lot. You know, it's free marketing at that point. You know, you don't have to invest as much into your marketing department.
So there's actually, I just saw this news. This is actually kind of interesting. I know you kind of deal with Charles Schwab. So apparently Charles Schwab just acquired assets of USAA, their investment management company. So
the investment branch of USAA?
USAA, yeah. Charles Schwab apparently acquired it.
Oh dang! I want we were just talking earlier about
Charles
that.
Schwab
yeah.
is a public company.
Right, you can invest in like Charles Schwab holding accounts and private equity funds.
1.8 billion in cash.
What was their intent with that acquisition?
Looking at it right now, actually.
I was just thinking off the top of my head, it's a different sector of the investment demographic.
Are they just trying to expand and diversify, or like?
That's what I was saying. Apparently, it's an addition of 1 million accounts and about 90 billion in assets.
That makes sense. All military affiliates and their dependents. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's a different demographic and a lot of assets of people.
They acquired what exactly? A sector of USA or all of it?
No,
investment
management company. So the investment management sector of USAA is now owned by Charles Schwab.
Wow. I mean, that's a pretty big buy. I mean, again, Charles Schwab, I think, is more or less known for their hedge funds, working with private equity, and building wealth for those who have quite a bit of money, who can invest in the fund.
Yeah.
But seeing them diversify like this, I don't know if they even needed to diversify, but, in the realms of finance and business, there's no such thing as doing too much, right? Well, until you monopolize, but you just hope you don't break that boundary.
Well,
but even then,
I'm pretty sure everyone's broken that boundary, and the government has stopped caring.
Well, I mean, waste management's an example of that, but
we'll get there eventually, where all the monopolies get broken up. But right now, the government doesn't give a fuck about people monopolizing anything.
With certain things. I mean, there was the monopolization case that happened last year regarding the name is escaping me, but they got in trouble for almost monopolizing.
What?
Fuck, I can't remember the name of the company. Shit.
Well, was this recently?
It was last year. It was the monopolization case. Someone was on the border of it.
I remember an instance where I think
it was Disney.
Disney?
I think it was Disney. Disney was trying to acquire something.
Fox? Was it
no, because that went.
No, they've already acquired Fox.
That went through.
No, but I know that was.
Wasn't there an instance where I think Sprint was trying to acquire T-Mobile? And they didn't let that pass because of monopolization.
Yeah, I think that might have been it.
It was like a couple billion, or it was like more than a couple billion. It was a huge acquisition going to go down.
Yeah. Well, because last year there was like 3 or 4 accounts of the SEC stepping in because of possible monopolization or insider trading. Yeah, but I mean, I digress with the monopolization. For Charles Schwab to acquire USAA like this, all those accounts that they get, now they're introducing a whole new section of the market, a new demographic that they can appeal to, which would be military families, their dependents, and any type of banking investment services that they provide. So I mean, good on Charles Schwab. I mean, that's a smart move. I think, diversify, get out there and get more capital, get more money for those funds and investments.
Actually, I looked up just now the acquisition between Sprint and T-Mobile, and something different popped up. It says that the cable service provider Dish Network agreed to buy assets to help close T-Mobile's and Sprint's merger. Dish is supposed to acquire assets for around $5 billion, paying $1.5 billion for Sprint's prepaid mobile brand, Boost, and $3.5 billion to T-Mobile's Spectrum licenses. The company is set to pay $6 billion for the assets. Wow, this is recent too. This is yesterday. This article.
Wow,
that's news to me. I hadn't seen anything like this.
Yeah, I didn't. So, well, I mean, it can't be right now because I mean, what's it? T-Mobile owns Sprint, I believe, right now.
No.
Yeah.
They're separate companies.
No. They had a merger.
Yeah, that didn't go through.
No. I believe it's through now.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah, the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. I think T-Mobile was the captor.
Because the SEC prevented that from happening. I remember there being like a lot of issues with monopoly and
There was a lot of issues, but I remember it. I remember that it did inevitably go through, and that there was a full acquisition. Unless I'm remembering it wrong, it may be a different company.
I remember hearing complaints about horizontal integration, and it couldn't happen because the businesses were literally too big to merge.
I mean, that makes sense.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe something else happened. That's crazy, actually. That's insane. Well, what would I mean? I guess it does kind of make sense because it's part of their. They have lots of shit. Why is the name skipping me?
What, assets?
No, the tech. Dish, basically, Dish is a satellite company. They need the network. They need to, it's all the same tech, whether it's spread to a TV or a phone.
Yeah,
it's mostly the same technology.
Yeah, right.
For Dish, that's a pretty solid buy, but that's $6 billion right there. Oh shit.
Before I forget, there was one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about, which I was sending in the chat earlier today, which was Dunkin' Donuts is now doing a partnership with Beyond Meat.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And boy, oh boy, like I've been saying since we first been talking about BYND, they're gonna keep winning because of these partnerships. No matter what, they're going to keep winning.
So
it's a
huge.
rolling stone or snowball that's just gonna get bigger and bigger. And even when competitors come in, BYND has the cornerstone right now. They have differentiation and, from what I've learned, low cost. It's not that expensive. They're getting good returns on the partnerships. They're getting good cuts. They're making back for the R&D that they spent timeless days and years into developing. They're finally making a good return. And I mean, the current stock valuation, I do question. I don't know if it should be that high right now, but given the amount of partnerships that they're opening, the new accounts that they're starting, it's making sense.
And they have the intent. I believe it's the CEO. I believe I read this around a month ago. He stated that they do intend to go really target the price point of meat, because right now it is in retail price it is more expensive than buying beef. But they are trying to match it, if not obviously beat the price of beef. So I mean, if they can do that, if they can win on a price point level, we're gonna see Beyond Meat, I think, fly off shelves.
I mean, that's an amazing milestone to really strive for too, because historically speaking, when it comes to anything vegan, vegetarian, those typically are more expensive options, even if it's by $1, more expensive than your meat.
Yeah. So this is a problem I have with all that sort of stuff, is that whenever you see a label like GMO-free, gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian, I don't know, organic, it always comes with a price that's significantly more expensive than...
It's a premium for a trend.
It's always a premium.
Yeah.
There's always a premium with these labels. And Beyond Meat is that label. It's meatless. That's the label. It's vegan. It's vegetarian. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what they make it out of, and I don't think they tell people.
It's soy. No idea. It's a soy-based protein.
Sure, but like in my opinion, there is always this premium on this product. I don't think you'll ever find this product actually cheaper or go down in price. Well, they might be able to make it cheaper for themselves, but I don't think you'll ever see their products become cheaper to the consumer.
Well, that's true I'd say in all cases, with exception to BYND, and the reason for that is, if the CEO is openly saying, my goal is to make this cheaper than meat and to beat the meat price point, no CEO, I mean, like, let's take Elon Musk, for example, when he announced that he was going to sell his whole company, go private, and his stock can be worth $420, and then boom.
Yeah.
What happened? Everyone was like, "Oh, that's amazing," and the stock price surged, and oh my gosh, and then he gets sued by the SEC for artificially inflating his stock due to, like, quote unquote, insider trading.
Only because they never hit the price target.
Right. Now, see, knowing this, would another CEO make the exact same blunder in the exact same fashion, or would most CEOs kind of watch their tongue? I think, ideally, if they were smart, they would watch their tongue, because they witnessed Elon Musk literally, physically lose a portion of holdings in his company so that he could not maintain majority ownership. That is sad. That is not good, right? And you don't want that in a CEO. You want a CEO who's going to be competent. You want a CEO who's confident and can meet the promises that they stay out into the public, right? And I think that's why BYND here is the only one that I've actually heard go public and say, hey, we're going to try to beat the meat price label. Unlike other vegan, vegetarian, or whatever options, their goal isn't to beat the price point. Their goal is to feed off the trend. So I think that's why this is a different scenario. Because although they do meet the labels that you've described, they're the only ones who are openly venturing to defeat the price points from meat. And I mean, rationally speaking, from a consumer standpoint, that's great. I mean, even if it's not the thing you want to put on your table, anything protein-based can be incredibly expensive to buy. Low-income families could actually have an option for a protein alternative that isn't necessarily meat, but can still provide protein.
It's a great idea. I'm not going to deny that. A lot of people like it. It's a healthy alternative to meat. Like, there's a lot of good reasons why you would want to eat that. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about
I don't actually even know all that many people who have gone out of their way to try it. I don't know. It just seems like a niche product or like it's a fad. And although you did mention that it's more of like a long-term thing, like vegetarianism and, healthier lifestyle, a lot of people are trying to be more conscious of what it is that they put into their bodies.
Right.
I no longer think that, maybe someone thought that all the organic foods were a fad. They're no longer a fad at this point.
Right.
They become a staple in most households because they don't want, pesticides and chemicals and other things in their food. And that's totally understandable. But, the thing is, how long do people want something like this? Or will it continue to remain a trend? Will this become a staple? Or is it just like, feeding off of a temporary trend?
I mean, what you brought up was a good point with when it comes to like fads and trends. The idea of GMOs, that's actually a topic I love because, personally speaking, when you actually look at GMO products, right? They taste the same. They're the same thing.
Yeah.
And the fear was that there were these skeptics out there who was saying that GMOs give you autism, or GMOs make you sick, or GMOs mess with your genetics. And obviously people who don't actually know what GMO is or how GMOs are made don't understand what it is, and therefore just takes it for face value and fears it. And I think that's where we got that trend of, oh my God, I don't want GMO anymore, I want organic. It was feeding off of more of a health-based trend where it was a fear, right? A fear existed there. And I think that's why GMO-free stuff became so big and people wanted organic, is because they were kind of in this weird world where they thought GMOs were horrible. And for those of you listening, if you do believe GMOs are bad for you, I implore you to go out and actually do your own research and really learn what these do. GMOs are modified genetically, right? Your genetic scheme cannot change. I mean, of course it can through like radiation and shit, but these GMOs don't have like nuclear radiation in it. They don't have anything that can physically change your genetic scheme and your genetic makeup. The only reason why they're called genetically modified organisms is because the seeds were created in a certain fashion that can grow together in close quarters. For example, corn can grow closer together, require less water, less pesticide, and are resilient to nature so that we can foster it. And because of GMOs, we've been able to increase agricultural exports to countries that need food. For example, parts of Africa that are impoverished, we can afford to actually just send them to food with an incredibly low rate of price exchange because we can so cheaply grow these items. And that's the thing, that it's the fear.
The fad of organic food is reintroducing the death of the world with
the rainforest and
everything in general. So growing organic food is not necessarily bad unless it's an extremely large scale.
Right, which we need.
Which we need because of the overpopulated Earth. And
Yes.
the reintroduction of organic food has actually begun to destroy and pollute, and the rate at which organic food is being produced is destroying the land faster than farmers are able to basically reintroduce nutrients back into that land.
Because it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable.
You can't do it, yeah.
GMO food doesn't require as many nutrients because, again, like you said, it's modified to be able to... You don't have to sit there and baby it it's a much stronger genetic plant than,
Right.
say, an organic plant that's weak and sucks up all the nutrients out of the ground. And
Right.
once all the nutrients are sucked up out of the ground, you can't grow there anymore.
Right.
Unless you get, I don't know, unless you want to import soil, which is incredibly expensive and time consuming and just not realistic in any sense. It's not sustainable. And organic food is actually destroying society.
Yeah.
And the same people who are, I guess, attributed to making organic food a trend are the same people who are attributed to seeking for a greener society that
Right.
don't understand that one is impacting the other far more than they realize. And that kind of brings full circle back to Beyond, is that is it I don't know, can people continue to, eat a product like this? What are they making that out of? They're
Right.
trying to beat meat, one of the largest
Huge corners.
one of the largest industries in the world, probably bigger than oil.
Yeah.
It's food. Everyone and their mothers and their fathers, everyone needs food. Most
Yeah.
people eat meat.
Yeah.
You're going up against
Well,
the
we're
largest
omnivores.
industry in the
We're
world.
supposed to get both. We're supposed to get both.
So
You need both,
here's another thing that is actually two things actually, 2 points I want to make. First, turns out Beyond does not use soy.
Oh.
Because soy, I believe, uses too much water.
I thought it was like a synthetic soy
pea.
base.
I heard
pea.
otherwise.
Yeah,
Oh.
so peas.
wow.
And another thing, so pea, canola oil, and potato starch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Another thing, in terms of competing against meat, because Beyond Meat has been able to get into the actual meat sections of the grocery stores.
They got it.
Yeah, no, they've been in there for a
Oh,
while.
really? Okay. I thought they were still like.
Oh no! They're in the meat section. If you
Wow.
actually go to Ralph's right now and you go to the meat section there, or along with the ground beef, there's Beyond Meat right there.
Just a side question: would that be considered false advertising because it's technically not meat,
No, it's still a protein.
but it's not meat?
It's not meat.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm not trying to say any lawsuits are going to come up because I highly doubt it. But
I know.
I think that's kind of interesting, though. It's technically not meat in
Well,
the
I
meat
mean,
section.
Being sold in the meat section, it really depends on what it says on the packaging itself. Less about the grocery store and where they put it, and more about what's written on the box.
Yeah.
What if this like transforms the way grocery stores are organized? Instead of it being meats and your breads and your snacks and stuff, it goes from like proteins and carbs and veggies, and that's how our supermarkets.
I mean,
start
that's
doing it.
kind of already what it is.
It kind of, but I'm saying those would literally be the signs,
A lot
and then
of-
like a sub sign would be like the specific category.
Relabeling.
Right.
I don't know how much
rebranding,
people think
really.
about this, but a lot of effort goes into how grocery stores are
Oh
organized.
yeah,
and set up.
absolutely,
Of course.
And it's-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know how much premium you pay to get the end shelf of an aisle?
Yeah.
You pay. And some companies pay millions more just for that one.
You know how
spot.
much Campbell's has to put in to have their own Campbell's soup section of a
Oh, that's right. They have their
grocery
own.
store?
No, how
Oh,
much do they pay?
It's they put a lot of money in.
I'm sure it's a high bid
Yeah.
for all groceries.
Yeah, are you like it's now something I want to mention actually. So apparently, and they've been in the meat section of the grocery store since 2016.
Oh, so this has been a long time. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Wow.
Wow.
Now apparently Beyond Meat did a 26 week study last spring, so in 2018,
Yeah.
and it showed that 93% of Kroger customers bought its burgers also bought animal meat in the same period of time. So it's non-vegans or vegetarians that are buying their products in Kroger.
I wonder if it's the the
So-
same thing I went through where when you told me about this, I was like, oh my god, like now I want to go out of my way to get both and do like a control. You know, you have your control as your
Maybe.
base, and then you have
Well, what I'm interested in is this same sort of study repeated over long
Yes.
periods of time,
yeah.
and periodically coming back and checking. Because if this is sustained, then this is kind of proof that like this isn't just something that's targeting the more niche consumers of vegans and vegetarians, of meatless eaters. It's targeting
Right.
everyone. This is something where you add in to your rotation of proteins in your diet, you add in meatless options.
You know what? And I liked how you said that too. You didn't say we're trying to replace meat. You're just saying that there's a rotation in it, which I think is fantastic.
You diversify your protein intake.
Exactly. And you know what? I think that's a very important thing to understand too. Not to disparage any vegetarians or vegans, because honestly, your food lifestyle is your own to bear. I've seen people in the Army who have vegan diets and they're freaking buff as hell. Yeah. And so I mean, ultimately it just comes down to your metabolism, the way you can handle and intake the protein in your food. But at the end of the day, people should understand though, we are omnivores. We should have a balanced diet, right? For example, some people with the whole vegan food diet, some of them went beyond to the point of themselves and started doing that to their pets, which became a huge issue. For example, on the Daily Show, they had a woman come on there who was putting her dog on a vegan diet. And on the show, there was like another person who was like the counter argument, right?
Yeah.
And he said, if I put this bowl of dog food that has a mix of meat and the vegetable and the diet that the dog is supposed to have, compared to your vegan dish, which do you think he's going to take? And she was like, 100%. He's going to take my vegan dish. He's been eating it and loving it this whole time. So they said, okay, let's put it to the test. So they put the bowls down. They let the dog go, and the dog sniffs around the bowls, and in that split second, eats the meat. Or eats the dish that contains the meat. Sorry.
I think I remember something about this. Wasn't the dog, like, incredibly sick? And,
very sick. It had health problems, which she said it was due to it trying to change its diet to a more healthier option. She was trying to rationalize it, which I think a lot of people do try to do.
Ignorance is strong with this one.
It is. And I mean, for a human to become herbivoric and not have to take in meat is one thing, because humans can adapt to an environment, right? And obviously I'm not saying that we can like instantly take it and be like, oh, for sure no meat, but I've seen people do it. And it's doable. And you won't die.
We can make our own choices. We can stop when we want to.
Yeah, but like, for example, if you take a carnivore animal into your house, like a dog, which I would argue is slightly omnivore, because I mean they do eat some berries and stuff that we mix into their diets, but even then, mostly carnivores, because they do come from a canine species, you shouldn't force them into a vegan diet. It's
they
not
also
healthy.
don't have any sort of choice, and they can't stop when they want to.
Yeah, and if anything, I feel very sorry for the animal, because the animal, again, like you said, has no choice.
So
just has to eat it.
Back to the financial aspect of things. I'm looking at the last couple. Looking at Beyond, I'm looking at their quarterly reports over the last couple quarters, and even though the revenue has increased significantly compared to Q1 of 2018, where revenue was around 13-14 million. We're looking at Q1 of 2019 at around 40 million, and they continue to hemorrhage consistently the same amount. Q1 of 2019, they reported a loss of about, shows $6 or $7 million there. Same thing in Q4 last year, Q3, Q1. They're all continuously, negative, and so
which one's negative? You're saying
earnings.
The earnings.
Yeah. And from what I'm finding, this is just a brief overlook. The average price targets are significantly below the current price, which is hugely overvalued.
I think one thing to take note of, though, so be it as it may that they are, I mean, I'm looking at it right now, yeah, they are definitely expanding the revenue, but it looks like their cash flow is still negative. But be it as it may be, their debt is pretty low. Their current debt ratio is a 4.21. So even if they're hemorrhaging, they are covering their debt phenomenally. Okay, most businesses struggle to hit a 1.0, which means that they can cover all their debt in one go, full liquid. But if BYND were to go liquid right now, they would profit 3.21 of what they're currently holding, and then of course 1.0 goes to pay for the debt. So I mean, even if that is the case, even if they're hemorrhaging, they have so much money to really hemorrhage through. And to be odds are, the reason they're hemorrhaging is probably because more research and development, more marketing for penetration, more storefront options, more partnership reach outs, more deals and bids. That is going to be the smarter option.
They actually are, just news came out recently, they are developing a meatless bacon product.
There you have. So I mean, they're hemorrhaging because the R&D is so high. And even then, even if they're hemorrhaging, they're covering their debt 4.21, which is phenomenal.
I want to say something interesting, which is this company shows to what lengths people will go to eat meat, but still keep up the front of not eating meat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
I'm a vegan, but I still want to eat a meat burger, so give me a Beyond Meat burger.
I feel like this is supposed to be kind of a niche to help people who did transition from meat living lifestyles to vegan and vegetarian lifestyles kind of revisit the day of old when they converted. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Why don't you just eat meat?
Well, it's one of those things like moral hazard and the idea of ethics. People have different weights, so some people... For example, I have a coworker who's very ingrained to the idea of she does not like the concept of killing animals for food.
I'm mentally face-palming really hard right now.
Well, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand because for me, I get it. I guess it's rough if you see a documentary and you see a bunch of animals getting butchered. I mean, it's not like you're going, yeah, that's fantastic. Like, obviously, you're sitting there like, okay, that kind of sucks. For me personally, I'm like, it kind of sucks, but we got to do what we got to do to get meat. But some people might have a more empathetic personality that goes beyond that of just humans, but to the life around them. So, I mean, I can't necessarily say they're wrong to think that because an empathy like that can exist. I mean, people are very empathetic for materialistic things. Who's to say they can't be empathetic towards things that are living other than human? And we're empathetic for our dogs. We don't eat dogs for a reason, right?
Well,
and I mean, it's not much. I mean, Korea, you can eat. Well, I'm not anymore, but I'm not obviously like your chihuahuas and stuff, but like wild dogs. Yeah, I mean, you're not buying a husky or a lab off the streets and eating it. You're getting like a feral wolf or something. But even then, at the end of the day, I get it. You empathize, and
I get the empathy, but I mean, I don't know. It's like it's just the natural order of things. Like you need meat to survive in general. The carnivores eat meat. You're not going to look at something happening in the wild. Say, I don't know, you're watching some documentary and you see a lion chase down a zebra and it hits the prey and starts feeding the family.
Right.
You're not going to think, oh, poor zebra. Or oh man, screw that line. It's nature, it's part of nature. I guess the real problem is the fact that there's so many of us, so many people, that turning food into an industry, and it has become an issue for some people the way things get treated. But like the lengths that people go to avoid or to change, but like they're still ultimately. Innately looking for the same thing no matter what they say.
I mean, I will say this. I hand it to them because, honestly, I can't do a diet like that. So, I mean, if anything, even though I may not think the diet's very wise to go on or maybe the healthiest of options, because many nutritionists do say you should have a balanced diet, obviously we consume too much meat, which is the biggest issue. But, if we were to reduce meat consumption and in return take in a bit more vegetables, which is what many Americans lack in our everyday diet, I think that would be the solution rather than just full-blown, I'm not going to eat meat, for those who are doing it for dietary reasons rather than ethical or moral reasons.
Okay. So get this. So now think about it this way. The company has a lot of deals going on. They have a lot of good cash flow, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're making a lot of new partnerships and they're expanding in all different horizons. Meatless bacon, great.
Yeah.
Now... How many of you are actually going to go out and buy this stuff?
Well, I mean, upon the first launch of the bacon, I don't like bacon personally. I don't. I know it's very un-American me to say that. I know the American flag is just frowned upon me, but
half-mast.
I don't. It's a half-mast to fallen American, but I don't really like bacon. But when this releases, I'm probably going to go out and buy it just to try it. And
once.
I think once. You're right. It's going to be once. But there's going to be people who buy it, try it, and like it. Yeah. Who will, in return, like Sarkis said, which was fantastic, buy both the Beyond Meat version and the regular meat version. Right? Because now you have an alternative, more variety. Yeah. The idea that now you have more options. Some consumers just consume variety for the sake of wanting variety, and not even for the flavor or taste, but just the sake of saying I have an additional product.
This
or
looks
even
like
if they can get certain flavors. So one of the things I've actually been recently doing, gotten back into counting my calories and going to the gym.
Oh, good for you, man! I am long past that.
A lot of people are really concerned about. A lot of people are really concerned about their health nowadays. And there's more information than ever available.
Shit, I'm gonna die.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, there's more information out than ever out there, like available for people to learn about how what macronutrients you need to consume and how many calories per day and all that.
Are you saying people weren't concerned about their health before?
They just weren't.
I don't think they have the
information
resources.
wasn't accessible to them.
Yeah,
as it is today. Today
like
you can literally
Fitbit.
download an app or wear a Fitbit.
Dude, my Fitbit counts how many hours I sleep at night and my
Yeah.
patterns, which honestly I don't really care much about, but it's cool. I get to look at it. It's
You
cool.
wear it in your sleep?
I do.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
That's comfortable?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, as long as I don't put my face on it like this, because I put my hand under my pillow and then lean on it, it's good.
Man, I couldn't do that.
But I'll be honest though, when I first started wearing it, it was a little uncomfortable. I'll be honest. But sorry, I digress. Yeah, Fitbits. But yeah.
Go on.
But in terms of nutrition, if you can give alternatives to things like ground beef patties or bacon that are lower in calories and lower in amounts of fat, but can still sort of deliver that similar savory flavor, or even just a different flavor than from the same chicken turkey routine that I'm typically on most days, then I would be willing to jump on that and add that into my rotation of foods, and I believe a lot of people would in similar situations would do the same, just to kind of again add that kind of diversity into their diet, and break up the monotony of samey foods and samey flavors every day.
Now let me pitch you this. Let me pitch you an idea, right? What if, restaurants that serve, let's just say like a bacon cheeseburger, right? You have your bacon, you have your hamburger. What if one day, without telling all the customers, they were like, you know what? All of our bacon will be plant-based bacon, and they don't tell their customers, right? I mean, of course, they would put it in the menu.
Illegal.
They would put it in the menu, but they don't market it. They don't. That's what I mean. They don't market it. But obviously, it's on the menu. It's not like they're hiding it, but it's on the menu.
False advertising.
Yeah. They would get into a big lawsuit.
If someone's allergic to peas and then suddenly eats a pea bacon
dies,
burger, dies.
Sorry, do you know anyone
Game
allergic
over.
to bacon? Yeah, no, it's bullshit.
I mean, there's halal though. You don't want someone to eat
well,
there's also that. Yeah,
there's a lot of halal, but let's just say they do something like that, right?
halal and kosher.
And kosher, right?
Yeah.
They do something like that. How interesting would it be to see that type of market study, that kind of case study? Because if they don't market it, people might be like, "Oh, I'm just going to go for it." I mean, let's be honest. When we look at the pictures of food, sometimes we don't read what's in it. We're just like, "Wow, that picture looks really good. I'm going to buy it." And you get it and you enjoy it. You're like, "I don't know what's in this, but damn, it's tasty." What if someone did that right with this burger, eats it, and is like, "Wow, that was really tasty," and then learns, "Oh my God, this was meatless bacon, but it tasted exactly like bacon." I feel like a trend like that, and yes, I say trend because this inevitably would become a trend at that point, would become like, oh my gosh, I want to try this synthetic bacon, but tastes like bacon.
There are real restaurants where you go and you dine completely in the dark. There's no lights. And
no way, what?
Yeah, you dine completely in the dark. Basically, a waiter or waitress will come up to you, they'll grab you, and they'll lead you to your table, they'll sit you down, and then they'll ask you about your dining preferences. If you have any allergies to certain foods, what you prefer, that sort of thing. And then they'll tell the chefs basically your preferences, and the chefs will go and prepare something specifically for you. And the concept is that when you're dining in the dark, you can't see what it is that you're eating, so your entire senses are based off of touch, so texture, taste, and smell.
Shut up.
And it heightens your sentences. And the cool thing about that is that
your sentences. Sorry.
Yeah,
Your
sentences. Your senses
really
are
literate.
it's a very interesting experience because you have no idea what the hell it is that you're about to eat.
Yeah.
How do you use a fork and a knife? You end up mostly just grabbing it with your hands and shoving it in your mouth, and oh, that's good, or oh, that kind of sucks. That tastes weird. That's a strange texture. That kind of marketing, people you don't necessarily have to see everything with your eyes.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe you heard the sizzling of a plate that just walked by you, and it was like fajitas or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe you smelled something delicious, and you're like, I want that. There's a lot of other things than just hearing that it's meatless. I want to know that it's good texture too. I want to know that it actually tastes good.
Right.
I heard they make it with really bizarre vegetables like jackfruit or something. I don't even know what the heck goes into this stuff. Pea based, sure, but they're not giving you the entire formula. They're not going to do that. That's their company
You're
secret.
right. You're right.
It's like asking what's inside of Coca-Cola. They're not going to give you the recipe.
Right. They don't want you to replicate it. They don't want new competitors. And
Unless you're McDonald's.
that. Oh well, dude. I feel like anyone can.
Well, then actually, Coca-Cola makes a specialized version for McDonald's.
They do.
Yeah.
What?
They do.
Yeah. They create a specialized syrup that is only used in McDonald's.
Shut up! No, what?
Yeah, that's why.
What is different about it? They just say it's different.
Don't know.
It's just different.
$10 says this is just a marketing scheme between Coke and McDonald's.
Taste it.
Open it.
Taste it. It tastes different.
You've literally.
I've literally tasted
drank
the
it
difference
next to a Coca-Cola bottle, and they're different.
It's different. Well, so first of all, the Coke that you get out of a fountain is already different from the Coke you get out of a bottle. And that's already different from the Coke you get out of a can. And that's also different from the Coke you get out of the glass bottles. The plastic bottles...
Well, the glass has sugar. It's real sugar, isn't it?
The glass ones, here we call them Mexican Cokes because they're made in Mexico because they're made with cane sugar instead of corn syrup.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a different story. But the plastic bottles are supposedly slightly different from the metal cans just because of the way that it's stored. So they alter the formula ever so slightly so that it's stored at, optimum, it keeps its taste
but the inside
best.
of the can is plastic lined.
It's
how
not the
is it...
same from my understanding, it's not the same plastic that's used in bottles.
It's true, yeah. It's like a thinner, meshier plastic.
I don't exactly know how it's different or what it is, but it's just like a thin lining. Ultimately, it's a little bit different. It is.
I mean, kudos to you guys to look that shit up or know that fun fact, because I had no idea. I'm pretty sure anyone listening's like, what the fuck? And $10 says everyone at home's going to be like, I'm going to go to McDonald's right now and give that freaking Coca-Cola a go.
Go to the store, grab a Coke, compare it to the one you get out of the fountain at McDonald's. It's not the same.
If anyone from McDonald's listens to this, they need to know that we literally just marketed for them.
Just in general, Fountain Coke is different. Well, in general, Fountain Coke is different because it's mixed right then and there. It comes as a syrup, which is separate from the soda water.
Yeah, I get that.
Whereas your can, it's already pre-mixed. So, I mean, that already is difference. But, yeah, the formula specifically for McDonald's is... I have no fucking clue what it is, but, I've tasted it. I can tell you it's different. I don't know how or why or what.
You have mind blown me and the people listening. Okay, I am honestly sitting here like, what the fuck? I am very, very tempted. I have to drive home after this. I'm very tempted to go down the street, drive through McDonald's to just get a small freaking Coke and just to try it.
It's too bad McDonald's doesn't have Beyond Meat burgers, and you'd stop and grab one of those too, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. You're right. I tried it at Carl's Jr. It was good, but maybe it was fantastic. I also tried Del Taco's Beyond Meat tacos. Those were also good. I could hardly tell. The only way you could tell is the texture is a little different. Like when for me, I chew it, I swallow, and then I chew it like kind of on my front teeth. Yeah. Just to kind of feel the texture because it was a new meat. I wanted to see how it would react. It does have a bit of like this odd chew and like a very, 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 very fine graininess, which I feel like probably comes from the peas or whatever beans and shit they mix. Other than that, though, if you weren't like consciously thinking about it and you ate it and you had no idea it was Beyond Meat, you would not be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I tried out Beyond Meat at home. I went to Ralph's and bought it and grilled it at home. While the texture, again, I did find that same thing with a kind of grittiness. Yeah. The texture wasn't quite there. The flavor, while not exactly meaty, did have a very savory flavor, which I had not experienced in any sort of veggie burger or any sort of veggie patty or anything like that in any sort of comparison. Yeah. It had that specific savory meat quality that was really quite interesting and different from anything I've had.
You know what? There should be a special next week, or sorry, in 2 weeks. We need to get Peter a Del Taco, and
yeah.
the meatless taco, or the plant-based taco,
Blind test.
and blind test.
Yes.
You want to
blind test.
Should we do this in the episode next
Oh,
week?
absolutely.
Oh,
I want to.
that would be
I want
amazing.
to.
I'd be down.
You know what?
Ooh,
Let's
okay.
let's give it a try.
But you know what? Hold on. Let's be double blinds. Let's make this double blind.
Grab a burger and then a regular one and just
And then
make me
so
guess.
we can send someone else to get it and drop it off and unwrap it for us,
Ooh.
and none of us will know, and we're gonna watch you. We have no idea. That way, our facial reactions don't have you change your mind or something like that. So we won't even
Okay.
know. It'll be double blind.
All right.
We gotta set this up.
This is amazing.
Count me in. Let's do it.
All right. So next episode, everyone. This is what we're
All
gonna
right.
do.
I have a question. I'm not sure if I actually talked about it here or not. Did you know that at Jack in the Box, their tacos aren't meat?
What?
It's only partially meat, correct?
No.
No?
There is no meat in the tacos at Jack in the Box.
What?
You are about to honestly ruin.
So it's not like
You're about
Taco
to
Bell.
ruin
They
where it's
don't
partial meat.
advertise them as beef tacos. They just sell them as tacos. It's soy.
Motherfucker, you're absolutely right.
Really?
No, that he's right. On the menu, it not one word says beef taco.
It's just
It's
taco.
one Dude, oh my
Mind
freaking
blown.
god.
What?
You guys are ruining some of these meals for me. And I mean, I'm still going to eat it and
I will
enjoy it,
say
but
this,
now
though.
I know.
I will say this though. I really like those tacos, and I knew it wasn't meat all along, and I've continued eating them. I have no problem with soy. That's fine.
It tastes exactly like meat.
It does taste very meaty, actually.
That's not Beyond Meat though. It's Jack in the Box's soy, whatever.
So
it
it's
is.
not like Taco Bell where it's some meat and then filler. It's just soy completely.
I
It's
feel like
not
it's
partially meat. No.
I
Wow.
feel like at some point it's probably because they get all this like beef flavoring that like enhances the soy, and you're like, wow, this tastes like beef, and I have no idea. And then you just mind blow me today, and I'm like, wow, I've been eating soy this whole time.
Maybe I shouldn't have told you. Just bring tacos
Yeah.
along as a palate cleanser.
Double
God.
blind.
That's not meat either.
Exactly. Jeez. See, you know what? Now we're gonna have like food here, and then you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, that's not me," and I'm gonna be freaking shitting my pants because I have no idea.
Next week on Financial Decapitation, what cheese are we eating today? That's not cheese anymore.
Oh my god! I swear to God, if you guys ever bring vegan cheese with our wine, I will personally smack you across the face. I have had it once, and it is the most revolting thing. I'm sorry if anyone out there actually likes it, but it is honestly,
cheese?
disgusting.
From what I understand, they make it a lot from nuts. Correct.
That's probably why I like peanuts. I like those. But dude, the texture is off. It tastes like someone got my standard Kraft freaking cheddar cheese, threw it on the floor, stepped on it a couple times, spit in it, pissed on it, mixed it up, rebranded it, and was like, here you go. Enjoy. It was really great. I'm not even over it. It was really a just distasteful flavor in my mouth. It was awful. Wow. I do not encourage you to try it. Actually, I do in front of me so I can watch you. It's disgusting.
Vomit and projectile
gross.
vomit everywhere.
No,
Yeah.
It is really gross. And again, I don't want to insult anyone listening, but that's just me. I had it and it just was not delicious.
Yeah, I 110% agree.
Have you had it or it's weird, right?
It's awful.
Oh god, it just taste. I cannot stress it enough. The taste.
If you're lactose intolerant and you still want cheese and you have to deal with that, I'm sorry.
Take a lactose pill, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm slightly lactose intolerant and I eat cheese and I'm like, you know what? This is gonna kill me later. But damn, this is good. That's all I say. Like, damn, this is good. It ruins my intestines. I'm on the toilet for freaking 3 hours, dying. But you know what? I'm like, damn, that was some good cheese I had, and I am happy. You know, like, I would never replace my cheese with vegan cheese or an alternative. I swear to God, I would never.
Now, there is also something else that I kind of want to talk about, or at least kind of mention to the group. A stock that, I mean, we are an IPO kind of madness.
Yeah. We talked about that in like episode 1 and 2.
Yeah. So a company that I've personally used this app before. You guys might know Zoom.
That's what it was. I remember you mentioning this in the group. That's
Zoom.
right.
They had an IPO in April. Opening price was $36 for the opening for the IPO.
Where
now
are they
it's $97.42.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hate hearing that because the hindsight just kicks you in the balls so hard. Oh my god. Can you imagine throwing like $5,000 at that?
Yeah.
Like the amount of freaking return you would get. And you have no idea, but like you're just like, here's $5,000, there you go, and then
Well, listen, we're talking about Beyond. Beyond's IPO wasn't that long ago. What did they open at?
40, right?
No,
it was like $40 or $30.
No, less.
It was less? No,
It was
they're at
less. It was
222.
25.
Oh my god.
It was 25. It's currently tracking at 235.
And no, it wasn't.
25.
Yeah. $235. Can you imagine?
Wow.
throwing $5 to
235
Beyond?
actually. Wait, that's actually higher than. Oh wait, no, never mind. Yeah.
Dude,
Hindsight 2020.
I know. It's
Yeah.
honestly, and for those of you out there who do actively invest or like learning how to invest, like this is gonna be your life whenever you look at your stock and you're like, wow, I fucked up. Like that was my reaction with Fitbit and GoPro. I thought GoPro was going to be just fantastic because camera technology, they would get acquired and I would like sell out perfect. No, I got kicked in the balls. Balls.
Yeah.
I will say one thing though is when it comes to investing,
Damn.
I wouldn't dwell on the past. I wouldn't dwell on things that you could have made money on because it simply put, you didn't make money on it. Aim and focus on the next thing you can make money on rather than shit, if I invested this at this time and did this then I would have been a millionaire and telling stories of, how you could have made money. It's a waste of time and it's wasted effort. I wouldn't.
It's a mind killer to constantly dwell on like, oh, I could have made this move and that, and I could have made money here.
It really is.
Yeah.
It hurts
Yeah.
you mentally, and you eventually give up. You're like, shit, I keep missing all the good scores.
This is my key cornerstone advice for anyone. Because I know, I hope many of you who are listening are honestly considering investments, even if you're not doing it yourself, but going to a fund or going to, even your basic retirement, you want to understand how it works, but don't be emotional. Do not be connected to what you buy. Follow it, track it. If you sell it for a loss, you wipe that tear off your eye and as you shed it, and you move on. Because that is how you ultimately build that cushion for you in your retirement. That's how you save up for your 10-year goal on buying a house. You have to take the risks. And like anything risky, you will lose money. It is guaranteed you will. Not one investor has ever walked away without losing money. Even Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett has plenty of accounts where he said, I threw $200,000 at this thing. I thought it was going to be fantastic. I lost half of it. It happens.
You said don't be emotional. It's interesting because the market is a very emotional place.
Absolutely. And remember, we talked about it in episode 3 and partially on 2. For you, me and Sarkis, I feel like Sarkis is a good 50-50. For me, I am almost always technical analysis. I'm still trying to learn how to do fundamental.
Yeah.
And you are pretty much all fundamental.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Exactly. And it's a good mix because when it comes to stocks, I will gladly give it to you and all the other fundamental analyzers out there. Stocks are like 70% fundamentals because of the emotional aspect.
Yeah.
The investors get scared. In 2008, when everything was selling out, everyone was selling. Everyone's like, my neighbor's selling, my mom's selling, my dad's selling, my dog is selling, I'm selling. Like, dude, it was the time to sell. And there were people who held and walked away okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If not okay, better.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if you're not in real estate, of course. Real estate all got tanked. But other than that, like people succeeded even in the darkest of times. And it just goes to show, don't get emotional. If you see everyone selling, sometimes it's a good time to buy. Sometimes. Now, I'm not saying all the time. Don't quote me. But sometimes it's a good time to buy.
Do your analysis first, yeah.
Yes, do your analysis first. Don't be like, it's down, I'm just going to buy. But like in 2008, if people picked up on like telecommunication companies and picked up on IPSs and picked up on captives for like video game and those types of industries, dude, you would be floating in cash right now. Floating.
So,
especially with the dividend payout too.
speaking of telecommunication, I might actually segue into another topic I wanted to cover, and this is news that we all discussed earlier, which was the $5 billion fine on Facebook and their and all the privacy concerns and the new regulations that'll be put in to make sure that Facebook doesn't go around selling your personal data all over again everywhere. And
dude, $5 billion. That is a heavy fine.
Big oof.
Big oof, dude. Big oof.
Yeah.
Apple spent a fifth of that acquiring Intel's entire modem sector.
Yeah. And Facebook paid 5 times that.
And
for a
Facebook
fine.
is just throwing it away because they're trying to make a few extra bucks on the side.
Yeah. This all tied into their whole Cambridge Analytica allowing them to them and other companies to basically harvest data without consumers' knowledge, and not only do they harvest
or even consumer approval
or consent.
Yeah.
And it will,
which is pretty big.
Yeah.
It's kind of important.
So not only will they be getting that fine, but there will basically be new regulations and oversight over Facebook and their operations.
You know, Google is paying people to take picture of your face, and you know they're gonna get your face anyways. But at least this way you get $5 out of it. Facebook
Is
just
that on the Google Rewards?
No. Some program they're doing where they're trying to collect data for some facial recognition thing that's going on.
That's freaky.
But at least this way you get $5 out of it. Facebook is just selling your information behind your back.
Google Rewards is actually a thing.
I use it.
Yeah. So Google basically asks you if you want to prompt into surveys occasionally about like buying habits and that sort of stuff, and where to go and visit.
Yeah, where'd you last visit? What'd you buy?
Yeah, and they'll pay out rewards for that. But that's at least asking for your consent. You can decline if you don't want to.
What are the rewards?
Compensated.
Dude,
What
I got
paying?
over the course of 4 years, I've gotten $55. Now I know some of you out there might be laughing like, "Oh my God, that's not a whole lot." But bear in mind, I got $55 to spend on the Play Store and do whatever the hell I wanted. I didn't spend $1 on Google from my own pocket. I only used my rewards. And you know what? They can get that information regardless too. If you're using a Samsung phone that has Google and you're logged in, you have your location on, Google knows where you are.
They're already collecting your data as it is.
Yeah, you might as well get the 10 cents.
I've been using this for about a month and a half so far.
What? Was that when I told you about it?
Might have been around when you told me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
A month and a half, and I've gotten $5.65.
Damn.
Which, yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, that's $5 in a month, whatever. But that's like, use that in the Google Play Store. Basically, I just don't need to use any sort of credit card for the Play Store. Anytime I want to buy any sort of premium app or whatever, I can just use my rewards.
I use them for in-game purchases.
Same. Yeah.
The $1 deals to get like the gems and shit for those games.
So Facebook's fine is the largest fine in FTC history.
See, I had a feeling I read that somewhere, but I couldn't recall it.
And yet it's still only about a month's worth of revenue of Facebook.
Well, I mean, they are everywhere, so
yeah,
that's no surprise.
That's no small feat to accomplish and get fined something of that magnitude.
What's their DSCR though?
Let me look into it. No, I'm looking at an article that talks about the fine.
If anyone can pull up the DSCR, I really want to see it.
Would Robinhood pull that up?
Yeah,
Where would I find that in Robinhood?
It should. Maybe in the financials.
Yeah, so this article just talks about pretty much what you mentioned.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I just realized. DSCR, I'm sorry. I say acronyms sometimes, and I have to remember I need to explain it. DSCR is called Debt Service Coverage Ratio. Okay? And what it means is that when you have an X amount of debt, the interest rates and whatever, you want to make sure that you have a positive cash flow that can pay the interest rate X number of times. Okay? Traditionally, companies will have like their DSCR be like 1.0 or higher. Okay, 1.0 means that your revenue exactly pays any type of debt service, right? Interest rates, fees, that type of stuff. Now bear in mind, obviously you want it higher than 1.0 because 1.0 means that you are literally matching your debt. That's no good. You're not making money, right? You want it above 1.0. So most people do like 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. That way, you cover your debt and you retain earnings for the next cycle, just in case you want to perform or the event you want to, in the event that you want to reinvest. So that's what DSCR is, and that's what we were talking about a little earlier when I was talking about their debt coverage of BYND, Beyond Meat. They were at 4.21, which means their entire asset liquidable amount can beat that debt 4.21 times. Right? So their DSCR per cycle is probably pretty high because they have a lot of retained earnings. Either that or they just have high capitalization that's sitting around. Now, also bear in mind a 4.21 is not necessarily good because it shows that they're retaining earnings that aren't necessarily cycling. But at the same time, it does show that they're conscious of the debt that they hold, which I feel safe about. Because most companies are at like 0.68.
Yeah.
Which is fucking dangerous because then you get a 2008 scenario and then they're like, well, if you're not a preferred stockholder, you're not getting shit.
Catastrophe.
Have fun.
So do you mind if I read a small section of this article here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is from CNN talking about Facebook's fine, and so this is a direct quote. I'm just going to read it directly. The settlement resolves a formal complaint by the FTC alleging that Facebook used deceptive disclosures and settings that eroded user privacy, violating a prior agreement Facebook signed with the Commission in 2012. Facebook also broke the law the FTC alleged by misusing phone numbers obtained for account security purposes to also target advertisements to its users.
Oh, that's why I get all the fucking phone calls.
And the company allegedly deceived tens of millions of users by implying that a facial recognition feature on the service had not been enabled by default when in fact it had. Yeah, it's $5 billion is justified, but that's insane.
You know what? I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this. Fantastic that they're getting fined by the government and the government's going to get a free $5 billion that they're going to like fucking waste on bullshit. That's great.
That'll
you know what though? This is my question. Am I going to get a tax break from this?
Oh, hell no.
Am I going to get some? Because you know what? They broke all these laws. Absolutely, you're 100% correct. They wronged me. Okay? They wronged me. They wronged you. They wronged you. Where's our cut?
There is no.
The government's
restitution.
collecting.
There is no restitution. The only
is that the agreement in the signing?
It just says they pay $5 billion. They're paying it to the government, and the government's never going to trickle.
I wonder if we can get like a legal group or something fucking going for them.
This is a criminal case. If you want, you can possibly try and get on board and make a case that would, I don't know, ask for restitution, where you play the role of no. It's not a civil case. It's a criminal case because this is.
Well, you could make it civil for some things. Not the law breaking offenses, but for the information sector dispenses.
I think in a case like this, it would be a criminal case where you're playing the victim trying to get restitution.
I mean, you can do that in civil. I did that in civil court. Like criminal, you have to be charged with a criminal crime. I'm saying, like, what if you sued them?
What are the damages here? There has to be damages.
Dude, you can always exasperate it. Like, oh my god, I got all these phone calls and you ate up my data. I had to pay more for that shit. You wasted my minutes. I got that for
here's
you.
$50.
Oh no, lawyers are gonna go for way more.
It's not worth that than lawyer fees. Good luck, man.
I mean, the lawyers can always get more though. You always hear about cases that are very minute. And you end up paying thousands of dollars all because the lawyer said that you had like psychological damage or long-term effect. Dude, I mean, if you get the right lawyers, you get the right payout. But I guess I'm with you. Yeah, you're right. We'd be suing for pennies at this point.
I mean, considering how many people it affected, I don't think we would, even if they were to dispense that $5 billion as like a tax payout, how would they distinguish who gets it? And dispensing amount among the amount of people affected, I mean, billions of people use Facebook. Most of Americans have it. It would be like rough calculation, $15 a person or some shit like that. Like that's really not.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I just noticed something really interesting about this article is that somewhere closer to the end, it closes with Facebook's stock was down slightly. That's an understatement.
It just goes to show that even your most basic news outlets, right, will mention a little bit about stocks, right? So it shows, hey, everyone listening, right, this is relative.
No.
This is all relative.
The key word I'm mentioning there is slightly.
Oh, but there's going to be long-term damages. There'll be
for sure.
This is just a short-term effect. I would bet in maybe the coming months we'll see nice roller coaster effects.
Well, so they're basically brushing off a $5 billion fine as a slight loss.
Well, I mean, for them it might be slight, but I feel like it also garners investor worry and skepticism. Now you have investors in the pool who are like, yeah, you know, this might not end well.
Hey, didn't 2 episodes we say to short Facebook? Or no,
I mean, we're talking Netflix. We're talking
Netflix.
No. Either episode 1 or episode 2. I said something about shorting Facebook.
You might have. I remember saying I wasn't long on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm still on board for shorting Facebook.
I was on board with not
still
buying.
think that Facebook, when the era of consolidations and mergers ends and we start breaking up companies, Facebook is definitely going to be one of the companies on the chopping block.
Yeah.
I feel it will be broken up in the future.
Well, Facebook is definitely the face of that because they're doing so poorly. Because they've expanded into so many different things that they're struggling to do any one thing correctly or well. You have companies like Amazon that are doing everything very well, and no one really wants to break them up just yet. But everyone is complaining about Facebook, who's, you know, selling your privacy and leaving your passwords in plain text files on a computer somewhere connected to the internet, not really securing it or encrypting it. Everyone's worried about Facebook. No one's worried about Amazon. Amazon's a $1 trillion company now, and, you know...
Oh, they hit the mark?
Not quite. I think they hit the mark quite some time ago, and then it dipped just below, and it's kind of still below. But I mean, it's roughly
at a trillion,
give or take $20 billion. And yeah, but I mean, no one is going around saying they got to break up Amazon. Is anyone really complaining about Amazon's prices, Amazon Basics, Amazon Grocery, Amazon's amazing delivery, or Amazon's cloud service, which is like paying
Massive.
for 70% of the rest? Like, I think that's literally what was it called? ACS or something like that. Literally, it's paying for or subsidizing like 70% of the other businesses because most of Amazon's businesses are losing money, and their cloud services make so much money at such a huge profit that they can afford to just hemorrhage money in most of the industries that they're venturing into.
Well, you know, and that kind of ties back to, I believe it was episode 2 or 3, where we were discussing how businesses can still function running a deficit, or like why a company would want to run a deficit.
Yeah.
And I think Amazon might be a pretty good example to running a deficit to build the consumer loyalty and consumer base, so that in the long run, when you're releasing these new products and new designs and new outlets, you have people who are already so infatuated with your company that they're just like, oh, I guess this is a good deal. I mean, I'm buying shit for cheap. I guess Amazon Fresh must be cheap and convenient, and then do it. And they have Amazon Books and video now, and it's been very popular.
Yeah.
In historic events in the past, when you see companies integrate like Amazon is doing, they would lower their prices so significantly that the competition would just die. I don't really think they're killing the competition, but like they're everywhere, you know. It's crazy to see how far they've expanded. They're not, I wouldn't call them, you know, I wouldn't compare it to say steel companies in Rockefeller from back in the 1800s, but you know, it's like it's not a far off comparison to see how they've integrated. Like it's the way that they're pushing the market though is not sort of driving prices so low and selling everything for free. They're not giving stuff away.
Yeah.
You know, Amazon Basics, it's not like you just get free cables. It's honestly the exact same shit that you buy from China for the same prices, but now with Amazon's name on it. So, is this the same thing where you're going to see prices down the line increase and skyrocket and because they've built brand trust, or are they actually just trying to genuinely compete?
With Amazon, I don't think so, because they're at this point they've become such a high wholesale / resale. I mean, retail distributor. It wouldn't make sense for them to do that at this point. I mean, they're so deeply ingrained into many people and business lifestyle that for them to do that and risk completely destroying that ecosystem they built, I just don't think it's in their interest to do it.
So what's stopping them from just raising their prices because of all the brand loyalty and trust that they've developed?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's because if they do so, they destroy the ecosystem they built. You know, it's kind of like if Apple...
Really though?
I think so. I mean, we saw Netflix, right? Netflix was a cornerstone thing before Hulu, before Amazon Video, all this stuff. And Netflix was a cornerstone. And when they, remember, before this price raise in the last year, they had another one. Remember, they rose it by like maybe $3, $2. It was a small raise.
Yeah.
People flipped the fuck out and were threatening to completely leave. And people did. People started unsubscribing and getting out.
Yeah, they lost a good amount of business.
Yes, and they lowered the price. They thank goodness, regained their customers. But see that ecosystem, that environment you build and you harbor, even a $2 raise, people flip the fuck out. It's shocking, but yeah, $2 made that big of a difference to most people, and they lost a big chunk. And Amazon, controls global distribution. I mean, imagine if they rose their price just an teensy bit, dude. People would flip out. I mean, I have Prime. I'd flip out if Prime went up because Prime's already pretty pricey.
Yeah. Prime is about $12 a month.
Or you buy
annually. It's annually $120, but that comes out to like
sorry.
$10 a month.
It was called Amazon Web Services or AWS. It's their cloud storage services, and it's pretty much stuff.
No, that's used by a lot of companies.
Yeah, it pays for everything.
Jeez. Yeah, I mean, Amazon is just a huge, huge conglomerate. It just, they honestly have so much they can do. I just really, really pray and hope that they go in the right direction. I'm a believer in, like, investing in the sciences and techs. Amazon has a lot of it. They're innovating a lot of new ways to distribute things, but I really hope that they push forward. They continue that innovation that separates them,
How come no one is pushing to break apart Amazon because of a company of this magnitude?
They're not vertically integrated. They're no threat. So they're horizontally integrating, but they're not knocking competition down. So pretty much there's other distribution channels like Costco.
Yeah, it's like I said, but even so.
They're not that's the thing, like by definition they're not monopolistic. It's an oligopoly at most, because there's like maybe two other competitors, which would be like Costco and Sam's Club.
Yeah.
But even then those are very limited wholesalers and they don't do like retail of like smaller items.
Well, but the problem is Amazon does everything.
They do.
Literally everything.
They do. From
selling groceries to making tech to Kindles and the Fire, or selling tablets to the cloud storage and web services, to shipping products and delivering them and trying to do their own delivery and sending things to your house in a day, to
but the thing
investing in like drones and all this new tech, and like where does it stop?
But the thing is, they haven't cornered and completely conquered a lot of those markets. Yeah, they may be delivering their own things, but I don't see them putting UPS out of business anytime soon.
No.
Same thing with, they might have gone to the grocery game store by acquiring Whole Foods, but they're not going to put Walmart out of business anytime soon.
Hey man, is Amazon trying to start their own country?
You know what? They probably could. Now that I'm thinking about it,
Amazon has enough services and enough of everything that they could just be self-supportive.
I mean, this is a little sidetracking, but if we do talk about like logistics, which does have a good topic related to finance. I mean, when you have strong logistics, you don't hemorrhage money because you're able to bring people and goods around quick. And at the end of the day, that's how you save money. Is you have people where they need, when they need to be, in the fastest way possible, and people can get their goods at the fastest way and the most convenient, so they can go home and consume those products quicker, right? I mean, let's think about LA logistics, okay? Because we live in LA. Bullshit, horrible infrastructure, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm stuck in traffic for 3 hours every time I go to Century City. 3 hours.
All
every
my friends who don't live in LA always complain about people who live in LA. All they complain about is traffic.
Yes.
Oh, the LA traffic is so bad. It is.
Yeah, it is. And that's the craziest thing. Think about how much the city loses because people are more on the road than they are out consuming or at their job workplace. Right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of hemorrhaging. And the city loses money. And that's the thing. You don't build good logistics. You don't build good distribution. You lose money. End of the sentence. End period. Done.
I mean, we should also just start flying personal drones to work now.
Dude, honestly, if we can stop using cars and Tesla's like, you know what? Enough with the wheels. Let's fly in the air. Dude.
Just turn the wheels sideways, man. Produce them for us.
Oh my god, yes.
Completely down for
So,
I'd be great for that.
People can barely drive as it is.
Oh god. Do
By
we want flying cars?
Yeah, by turning a transportation network into a 3-dimensional system, I feel like it only introduces
to small airplanes.
Chaos. Yeah, everyone's just driving around like small bombs at that point. I don't know. Once you introduce a bit of automation to the system, to the flight, and you reduce the amount of human control and human, traffic caused by human error, which is natural.
Yeah.
Then you'll start to see an increase in like possibly other forms of transportation.
That would
logistics would increase.
Sick. That would be so freaking sick.
I'm still looking forward to Amazon finally using their drones to ship packages to my house. When is that going to start?
One day.
Whenever we get some of the regulations sorted
is
out.
There now.
For drones?
Yeah.
Flying over residential?
Regulation is
well, it just might not be fiscally wise at this point with regulations, depending on what those regulations are.
In 2012, I made it a point that I was adamant that I heard Pizza Hut and Domino's and Amazon, those 3 companies specifically, were dumping a lot of money into developing and have already set up an armada of drones so that they could deliver pizzas and goods via drone. And I haven't heard from them since, and I figured as soon as there was some sort of regulation, as soon as they figured out how to control it and how to run it, everything would be smooth. Because drones have been around for quite some time now. It's not a new technology in any means.
Yeah, it's been around for a bit.
Yeah, and you know, what's happened? The logistics is there. I don't know why they haven't started.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes operations just doesn't add up, but I think that's just something we gotta probably read more into. Look at the costs. I mean, there's a lot that can contribute to why a company doesn't do something, but
that's actually interesting. I'll look into that, and maybe we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, and if anyone listening has any input on that, that'd be fantastic because we also want to see what you guys think, or if you guys have any knowledge that you can share. I mean, that'd be fantastic because we want to also learn from what you got. And vice versa.
Why aren't they flying drones yet? What's going on here? I have a drone sitting right next to me. It's the Mavic Pro by DJI, and that thing is awesome. It's right there on. It's in a box. You can't see it, but it unfolds, and then you unfold the propellers. You connect your phone into the controller.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And it has a range of up to 4 miles. And it has a FPV system where the camera's on the front, and what it sees, you see on your phone. There's even goggles that track your head, and you throw it on, and it's like a VR system where when you tilt and move your head, the camera tracks the goggles track, and the camera follows the movement of your head. So you look down, the camera looks down, but it continues to fly, so it's as if you're flying on board.
I feel like you get a lot of motion sickness from something like that.
No, because it's flight. It's not like you're personally moving around.
No, I know, but the idea of being like so high up and you're looking down.
No, not at all. It's like a captain piloting a plane, or I could even relate it to like using a flight simulator on your computer.
I mean, you've seen those people who like walk the plank in VR and then they fucking like actually fall over.
I wouldn't say I quite experienced that. This was more just like I can see that I'm flying a plane, because you still have your heads-up display. You have your artificial horizon, battery, power, speed, temperature. You know, all these sort of things. So it's a really cool tech. I played around with it a lot. But I mean, like, if I can do this at home, they can deliver my packages. My drone can carry my drone can carry a beer. So why can't you bring a box?
You tried that?
Yeah.
Nice.
So why can't they bring me? I don't know, like some, solid state storage for my computer. I'm trying to buy a thing, ship it to my house via drone. Why send a freaking truck to the front of my house when you could drop it off in like 20 minutes?
Well, these are all really good questions.
Yeah, that is a good question,
let's discuss this next week. Let's save this for next time.
Let's actually look into some of that and kind of revisit it next week.
That'd be a good analysis.
And that would kind of be the wrap up for episode 4. Hope you guys enjoyed listening. If you have anything you want to contribute, feel free to shoot us an email. Feel free to also contact us through our subreddit at Financial Decapitation. Also, you can reach out through Instagram, Twitter. Yeah.
We've been posting a lot of interesting articles on that Reddit. I highly recommend checking it out and posting to it yourselves. And yeah.
And I mean, short parting wisdom that I was thinking about driving to work today. I'm listening to all these commercials on the radio saying, Indeed and all these like help to search for worker type stuff. The market's really good right now. If anyone out there is like looking for work, and you're not really getting into that job, keep trying, get out there. I was just thinking about it. Companies are struggling to get workers, so this is a good time. Enjoy it. Get out investing. Get out working. Be a part of the system. Be a part of capitalism.
All right.
Well, that's it for this week.
That's it for now.
See you next week, guys.
See ya.
Oh man, that sushi isn't sitting all that well.